406 coupé owners of the world, hands up who has the same problem with a sagging headliner around the third brake light. This is a very common issue and I'll show you how I fix it in today's video by popular demand, and how I fix the poor view out of my rear view mirror and the red brake light shining on my parcel shelf every time I brake. Especially in the dark, that's a little bit annoying. So it all comes down to removing all the bits that hold your headliner in place. Unfortunately, the headliner in my car is already in quite poor condition. I got a new one that I'll be installing in the future, but just for the sake of this video, I'll show you how to repair it yourself. Now, everyone who owns a Peugeot needs a set of Torx screwdrivers. Don't start this job if you don't have that. Make sure you have them in all sizes because no two bolts seem to be the same on this particular car. Just take your time and remove everything that holds the headliner in place. Make sure you put the seatbelt slider all the way in the lowest position. You can remove this Torx screw and get this part above the seatbelt off to give it a little bit more room when you unclip this cover. Please try to work with clean hands like I didn't, but as I said, this headliner is going to be changed anyway. You can see that it's sort of creasing here where the glue is separating the textile from the actual headliner material. Undo this clip where you would normally hang up your tailor-made Italian jacket. The part of the C pillar, or I guess technically it's the B pillar in a coupe, not really sure. And this is the overhead light for the passengers in the back. And then there are clips on either side of the third brake light. And after you detach those comes the most important part, which is sliding the headliner forward. You can slide it forward about 1 centimeter, but that is going to be very important later on in the process. Loosening all the clips and sliding the headliner forward gives you access to the area that it's all about. And this bracket on the lower part, that should hook into the bracket on the top part, basically the metal ceiling of the car. The problem is the glue goes bad over time, which means the bracket comes loose from the headliner, and I tried to glue it back with other types of glue, but it just didn't work. However, recently I repaired this on another car that I owned and it worked out, so I'm going to show you how I fixed it then. So here you can see the old glue goes all gooey, perhaps from the heat underneath the roof. But that's why you need to do something drastic. And the drastic thing is you need to get a knife or a scraper or a cutter or something to get the top layer on the inside of the headliner off. This is a fiberglass kind of material, and the old glue is just so saturated into it that if you want anything to stick to it, you need to get to a fresh layer beneath it. So this is a lot of work with cutters or whatever you want to use, and you don't have a lot of room to work here, so expect this to be a tedious job. For me, it works a little bit better to fold back the rear seat so that you can have a little bit better access. But expect this to take a lot of time before you get to that sound insulation on the inside of the headliner. And this is a fresh layer to which you can attach the bracket. Now, I'm not reusing the old bracket from the car because it has a lot of hot glue on it and double-sided tape from previous attempts that I made. But I'm going to reuse the nice bracket that I have that is actually from Red Flaky. So I'll switch these out between cars because I need to do the same repair on Red Flaky, but that's for later. You want to position the bracket around 6 or 7 millimeters from the black surround of the third brake light. And the secret ingredient for attaching it is metal putty. This is the stuff I use. And of course you can use other brands, but as long as it has a hardener and it has 2 components, so then it will dry out and become very rigid. That's what you want. That also means you have a very short amount of time to work with it, about 3 to 5 minutes. What I do is I first put some into the fiber of the headliner, and the rest is going onto the bracket that I roughed up a little bit with some sandpaper, and this is it attached. and when it's all dry, it is really in there solid, and that's what we need to reattach the headliner. Give it some time to fully cure, and then it's time to put everything back together. Slide the headliner back the 1 centimeter that you slid it forward, and then it's time to reattach all the other stuff that holds the headliner in place. Before you reattach the front overhead light, do a check. There's a small ventilator here that can get clogged up with dust, so now is a good time to blow it out. This is the final result, a much better view out of the rear window, and I could have gotten it a little bit tighter if I placed the bracket closer to the brake light surround, but mind you, this is the before and this is the after, so I call that a success. My next repair? I guess the same thing, but on red flaky. Maybe I can get the bracket in a little bit better position, make it tighter still. But since it looks like this now, anything will be improvement. If the headliner of your coupé is still sagging like this, I suggest you make this the last video you watch today. Go outside and fix it. Good luck.
Wow.